Another stray? Where'd you dig this one up?
Yeah, says the guy Spidey found in the sewer.
I hate you.
What's up, everybody, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Marvel Legends Agent Venom. But of course, before we look at the figure, we got to take a look at some cardboard and plastic. So here is the packaging, and just kind of bringing up the camera since they like to really make these boxes kind of tall a little bit. Here's the packaging. Not too bad. It's your standard retro card Spider-Man packaging, but it is for the newer style of comics. So every time you see this kind of packaging, it kind of signifies a more newer character. It's kind of nice. It's not too bad. Got a nice comic cover of Agent Venom there. I kind of forget which one that comes from. I believe it was like a Carnage cover, possibly. I think, maybe. I don't remember. But yeah, got a nice Spider-Man logo up there. On the back, really nothing too crazy. Just got a picture of the figure and some of the other figures in the set. I reviewed Spider-Man Unlimited, not getting anybody else. I still do need to get Chameleon, though, for my animated series shelf. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the packaging. Now that we're done with the packaging, let's take a look at Peter Parker's biggest bully. So, taking a look at Agent Venom here. He looks absolutely fantastic. I've always wanted an Agent Venom figure. And I know Marvel's already made, Hasbro has already made a Marvel Legends Agent Venom, but he kind of looks like shit. And that's what he looks like right here. He says much older tech. They also had an Agent Venom one, which I'll put right here too. But those both use like a very old Punisher body, I believe. And they really weren't that good. And they were kind of limited with articulation. This guy's still kind of limited with articulation, to be honest. But if you don't know who Agent Venom is, where have you been the last decade? You've been living under a rock? Anyway, crash course. Agent Venom is basically Peter Parker's bully turned hero. Just a quick little summary. Flash Thompson, not that one, went into the military because he wanted to be a hero like Spider-Man, got his legs blown off, yada yada. The military gave him the Venom symbiote, and then he became Agent Venom. Did you guys enjoy your crash course? Now back to the figure. Yeah. So, as far as details do go, there really isn't a whole lot to really go off on. It is a new body mold, cast in black, and it is a custom-made body. Well, not really custom-made, but a specially tooled body for this new Agent Venom, and they did a pretty good job. There is only a couple things, like I do wish that the shoulder pads would maybe sit a little bit flusher on the arms. That would have been really nice. But other than that, he's pretty nice. I really do like the spiky shoulder pads and everything. I think the white paint came out pretty well, all things considered. It's pretty damn clean. Except for that, and maybe that little speck right there that you can see. But other than that, he's pretty damn clean. They did paint the head sculpt pretty well. That nice Agent Venom head sculpt. And then, I love the sculpting for the spikes and everything on the boots. I think they did a pretty damn good job. All the pouches and everything. Done super, super well. It would have been nice if he was more of a glossy plastic, but he is kind of more of a matte finish. Really do love the gauntlets and everything. He's a pretty sick looking figure. And I'm actually quite happy to have an Agent Venom in my collection. He does have his own fair share of issues and problems, which I will talk about and get into. But just looking at him from a base standpoint, he is a really great looking figure. Speaking of accessories, though, this Flash Thompson doesn't come with a whole bunch, but he comes with pretty much what you need. So, as far as hands go, you do get a pair of fists, you do get a pair of open clawed hands, and you do get a pair of trigger finger hands. And obviously, of course, for heads, you do get the regular Agent Venom masked head. And of course, you do get an unmasked Flash Thompson head, which, to be quite honest, is not that bad. But why does it look like Fred from Scooby Doo, or ever so slightly look like Nathan Fillion for some very strange reason? I don't know. He just looks familiar in some sort of way. But there is something very cool with this head, and I know I've seen some people say that this head is very. It just looks kind of big, but I'm gonna show you a really cool head swap. I think actually looks kind of cool. So just kind of a cool little head swap. If you have the VHS 2-pack Spidey with Vulture, you would have gotten this Flash Thompson animated head sculpt. And honestly, it does not look bad on this figure. Kind of a what if Flash Thompson the '90s series got the symbiote and became Agent Venom? Doesn't work all too bad. Kind of fits. Uh, the head's definitely more to scale with the symbiote head. You can kind of see a little bit there. But yeah, it's not too bad of a little swap if you do have the option. Now, his final two accessories are just pretty much some guns. So you do get this kind of big rifle shotgun thingy. I don't really know what it is. It's kind of a space rifle because they can't make real guns, even though the Deadpool Wolverine figure's got real weapons. Doesn't make much sense. But I guess it's decently sculpted, nice for the most part. And then you do get this very goofy space pistol, since they can't do real guns. But I'll fix that here in a second. But yeah, so this is pretty much what you got to deal with. But anyway, the pistol can actually store on the hip, which is pretty cool. So you got a little holster in here. You just kind of slip it on in the holster, and it just sits in there. Unfortunately, the rifle has nowhere to go, which does suck. But you can put them in the hands, and here you pretty much go. If it wants to get in the hand, and you can actually put the finger through the trigger hole there and everything. And there you go. There you have the one gun in the hand, and then obviously the other one can go in the other hand too as well, as long as you have the trigger fingers attached. If I can just get it in there. It is kind of a bit of a pain in the ass, but there you go. And the wrists do have downward movement, so that way you can pull off those gun poses and whatnot, which is pretty cool. So you got that going on for it, and it's pretty nice. But if you want more kind of weapon accessories, so speaking of more weapon accessories, if you do have the Marvel Legends Deadpool, you can pretty much use the pistols from the Marvel Legends Deadpool, and those should just fit in the hand just just as much as the weapons he already comes with. So you can use the Deadpool pistols for some more accurate um, guns and such. So those do work, and I'm pretty sure that you can actually put these in the holsters too as well. Yeah, actually fits in the holster, so you can even do that too, which is pretty nice. So you have that option there, and you do, I believe, also have the option for the figure arts. So the figure arts pistol does go in the holster, and then as for the hands, he can hold the figure arts ones too as well.
Look, I get it. You're working on a video about your new armored Oreo, infused with military brainwashing. I get that you needed some weapons, but it would have been polite if you had asked me first. I'm on vacation right now, and it's not cool for you to go through my stuff, finding things you don't want to see. I'll need those weapons back once you're done.
Yes, Deadpool, I promise I'll give them back.
All right, great, thanks. Bye now.
Anyway, since Deadpool decided to just barge in there on his vacation, but yeah, so anyway, you can use the figure arts pistol. And if you do have the Terminator 2 Judgment Day Terminator, the T-800, you do get a whole bunch of weapons, which I'll show, that can also be used. So you have another pistol with some different coloring on it, and I believe this one should be able to work too as well. Seems like all of these are pretty universal. So yeah, there you go. So you can use that pistol too if you'd like to use that. And let's say you don't want to use a pistol, you got this. So you can have this, should just fit right on in there. So you can have them use this kind of like grenade launcher thingy if you'd like. Or if you don't want to use that, you could also use this other grenade launcher type of thingy. So you got that as an option too as well. And then if you don't want to use that, you do have this, which honestly would kind of work pretty cool. So just kind of strap it on there, feed this hand through here. So just sit on the side, then kind of weasel it through the hand there. And there you go. So you can have him use that. Now, all these weapons you do get with the Terminator 2 Judgment Day T-800. So if you do get that, you can use all these weapons for Agent Venom, and it'll look absolutely sick. So, just a little bit of a kit bash kind of thing going. Plus, there's one more kind of little accessory thing from the Terminator figure. And by the way, it is the Mafex Terminator. I'll maybe show off the box here, but he also has this grenade thing. I don't know if this will quite fit on. I'm hoping it does. And it does. So you can put the kind of grenade belt on him, and I think that looks pretty sick. So, all things considered, as far as extra accessories, those are definitely some options that I would definitely look into if you are interested, because they do work out pretty well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the accessories. While the accessories you do get with him are very, very cool, I do wish he kind of came with more. But let's talk articulation. So, articulation. He's pretty decently articulated, but he does have some limitations. But as far as the head goes, can move it down about that far, goes up about that far. There's some pretty decent side to side there. Does a full rotation. It is on the horrible dumbbell joint, which I just wish they would do the disc hinge, to be honest, because this is just not really all that great. The arms do a full 360, no butterflies at all. The arm does go up about that far. And then there is a bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows, the regular usual hinge and swivel with Marvel Legends hands. These ones just go downward though, because these are the trigger finger hands. There's just a diaphragm at the waist there. Nothing at the actual waist. The legs are not on a drop down, but they kick forward about that far. Back, not so much. Thigh cut. Double jointed pinless knees that are pretty stiff. And then as for the foot goes up, not at all. Back, not at all. Pivots, pretty good. You just gotta get it over the armor there. And yeah, that's about it. So he is kind of fairly limited, because there's too much shit on him. But anyway, decently articulated. So let's go through a post test. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that post test, but now we're going to move on and take a look at his scale. So first up, I'm going to do some Spider-Man scaling. So here we first have the Ultimate Spider-Man here. I'll move Venom over. So here he is next to Ultimate Spider-Man. Scale's pretty decent, I guess. And then next here he is next to the Spider-Man Web of Shadows custom Spidey that I did, which I used in the pictures and stuff, because it's the only Spider-Man I feel that closely resembles the vibe that Agent Venom is giving off. And then, of course, here we have him next to the Maximum Series Spider-Man. Looks pretty decent next to him. Maximum Spidey seems a bit on the short side, though. And then, lastly, just because of the Flash Thompson head, here he is next to the Animated Series Spider-Man. And it might fit. You can make it work. But yeah, so that's just the classic Spider-Man suit comparisons. Now we'll move on to the symbiote suit comparisons. So here he is next to the Ultimate Spider-Man symbiote suit, which pretty much is just the regular Ultimate Spidey body. So not much of a change there. And then of course here he is next to the Web of Shadows Spidey that I did. There he is next to him. And then here he is next to the Gamerverse Insomniac symbiote suit Spider-Man. And I feel like they fit pretty well with each other, actually. I actually quite like that. So there you have that. Now we're going to talk Venom comparisons. So as far as Venom comparisons, starting up, we'll go with the smallest to largest. Here we have him next to my custom Spider-Man 3 Venom. Now he looks next to him. And then here he is next to the Mafex Todd McFarlane style Venom. See how he looks next to the Venom, and they actually fit pretty well together. And then here he is next to my Bagley custom Venom, which can also be a Todd McFarlane custom Venom too. But there he is next to the Bagley style Venom. And then here he is next to the animated series Venom. And then here he is next to the movie Venom. And then for the second to last comparison, here he is next to my Ultimate Venom. And then for a very outrageous comparison, but I always gotta do it, just because this thing is so freaking outrageous. Here he is next to the Gamerverse Venom. Now, I'm not going to angle the camera up for this one this time, just because he's too damn big and I have a lot of comparisons to go through. But there he is next to Gamerverse Venom. Now we'll go on to the Carnage comparisons. And of course, for Carnage comparisons, here we have him next to my custom Ultimate Spider-Man Carnage, or Ultimate Carnage. There he is next to Ultimate Carnage. And then here he is next to the Mafex Carnage. Then here he is next to the Marvel Legends Bagley Carnage. There. Which need to redo him. He's a very old custom. Then here we have him next to the animated series Carnage, which I'll probably redo sometime down the road too as well. There he is next to animated Carnage. And then here we get into the bigger figures, because honestly I don't know which one is bigger. These are about the same. But anyways, here he is next to the Diamond Select Ultimate Carnage. Amazing figure, by the way, if you can find it. And here he is next to the Carnage that I think fits the best for him, comic-wise. But yeah, there he is next to the Diamond Select Interchangeable Carnage, which I like to call him. And then here he is next to the movie Carnage. I'm not taking him out of this pose because it is a hard figure to get to stand, but there he is next to the movie Carnage. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the comparisons and everything. He's a pretty decent looking little Agent Venom. But without further ado, let's get into the final thoughts.
So, as for the final thoughts on this Marvel Legends retro carded Agent Venom, I think he's pretty great. There are some things that I am not really too excited about. That one mainly being the fact that the guns are not really accurate guns, but I mean, hey, what can you do? The other thing is that the articulation. Now, I think for the arms, it's fine. The arms are fine. Minus the fact that there's no butterfly joints, which does kind of suck. And also the torso, there's just the diaphragm joint. There's no waist cut, no nothing. Would have been nice if we could get a waist cut. I think the legs are fine for the most part, besides the ankles. I feel like the ankles are just a bit on the limited side. But other than that, the paint work is great. The sculpt work is great. It's a very nice upgrade from the original Flash Thompson, Agent Venom. I still think this is a pretty great figure, and you can get him in some decent poses. Could use a little bit more. I think he looks really great next to any Spider-Man. Works out really, really well. I do wish maybe he came with some more guns and maybe some symbiote pieces. But other than that, he's really great, and I thoroughly did enjoy this figure. And I'm just happy to have an Agent Venom in my collection now, finally. Would have been nice, too, to get a Venom head, just like a regular Venom head. But what with we got, it's pretty good. Definitely recommend this figure. And he is really nice when you give him a whole bunch of other weapons, so I definitely recommend getting like a weapons pack or something for this guy, because it fits super well with him. And he does look really nice next to some of my other symbiotes and whatnot, and he's just overall great. I think the unmasked head isn't too bad. It's not a terrible unmasked head. Definitely is a little bit big on the body, but other than that, I think he's perfect, and if you have the animated series head, works just as fine. But anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next.
I've heard it 1,000 times before, and it's just not that funny anymore.